On the Isles of Scilly, the extraordinary weather is causing havoc with the summer holiday season. The island boatmen are putting on a brave face.
It's hard enough work getting them to go boating when it's sunny, but they just wear a wet weather gear, that's the way forward. Yeah, and enjoy it.
Greg and Sarah have left Scilly to work on a small island on the other side of the world, in the South Pacific.
You're looking pretty good on it.
Yeah, sunshine, good food, happiness.
Greg's dad Nigel's hoping their new relationship could be great news for his troubled son.
I think she's fairly well organised, which is what Greg needs more than anything, because he's totally not. He's a drifter. But I don't want to say how far involved or whatever they are, because I don't know. But there must be something there for him to follow around the world.
And after 6 years as the Methodist minister, the Reverend David Easton is facing a big decision about his future on the islands.
I do like it here, as you know, and it's a fantastic place, and I enjoy the work, and I think there's work to be done here.
They might decide to send you to a sort of an inner city area, mightn't they?
Well, they could, in theory, move me anyway.
It's high summer on the Isles of Scilly, off the western coast of Cornwall, and the general air of uncertainty amongst the islanders is compounded by the bizarre weather. There've been day after day of prolonged storms and heavy rain. Volunteer Coast Guard teams have been on standby as unusually strong winds constantly threaten to put visiting boats on the rocks. Then, almost as quickly as they arrived, the storms are suddenly gone, replaced by long, glorious days of languid, almost tropical sunshine. For one islander, these are particularly testing times. The Reverend David Easton is the one person on the Isles of Scilly whose fate is not in his own hands. As the Methodist minister, he must face re-election by his congregation. The decision's due in just a few weeks, and if they vote against him, David will have no choice but to pack his bags and leave the islands he loves. Today, David's been invited to be guest of honour at one of the most important annual social events on the most northerly island, St Martin's. They've already had to postpone the island's annual fete 3 times because of the bad weather.
So, without any more ado, without any ribbon to cut, I declare this fete open.
Fates don't come more traditional than this.
Who's in the sandcastle competition? This is one, is it? One there. Oh. And one there. Well, these are fantastic, I must say. They're all absolutely excellent. Number 1 is this one here. So, yes. Well, I'll have to taste all of them because otherwise, and people will feel offended if their cake hasn't been tasted.
David knows this is something of a poisoned chalice. By having to choose first prize, you delight one person and upset everyone else.
I'd say you're quite enjoying this role, aren't you, Dave?
Well, I'm sorry there aren't a few more. After much deliberation, I'd like to try them all again, but I better not. The first prize goes to the sponge cake over there.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Oh, I threw it together this morning. Lovely. Back to the raffle.
It's been quite a tough season so far, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think it has, particularly the main August month. It's been so wet, and it's just terrible for visitors, really. But today is fantastic, and we always hope for a nice autumn. So islanders are optimistic people, so if it's raining today, we hope it's going to be sunny tomorrow.
You like getting involved as well, don't you?
Yeah, I do. I like to sort of, I'm not saying I'm going to volunteer to run a coconut shy or something, but it's great to be here, and it's good to be seen and to be meeting people. It's good, important, it's important.
David's a very popular figure amongst most islanders, and at first glance his very relaxed and liberal style seems to go down well with everyone. Soon a small group of senior church representatives will be organising a vote of every Methodist on Scilly to decide whether David should stay or whether he should go.
That would be fine. I think then it'll be up to our responsibility.
To consult with the membership and then come back to the meeting in September.
Yeah.
At this stage, nearly everyone seems to think David's re-election is a mere formality. The odd summer weather on Scilly has been financially disastrous for some islanders, but for others, it's unexpectedly worked in their favour. Heike, the island vet, has been paying frequent visits to the horse stables and riding school in the middle of the main island of St Mary's. Rain or shine, holidaymakers have been happy to get on horseback and go trekking. In fact, business has been so good that Heike's friend Claire, who runs the stables, is planning to expand.
And we've also got 2 new horses arriving.
This could be big news for Heike.
So we're relying on you, Heike. We need you here, just in case. We're hoping to bring 2 horses over, and it's quite a big step because they're 2 big dressage horses.
Dressage?
Yeah, they're quite high-level dressage. And hopefully they'll fit into the riding centre a little bit and go out on rides with us. So.
What do you think of this idea, Heike?
I think it's a great idea. Anything to expand the horse business here, I think. And especially dressage is wonderful.
The 2 dressage horses are currently on the mainland, and getting them across to Scilly will be no easy matter. Claire's travelled over from her riding school to the big Cornish port of Penzance to supervise the loading of the 2 precious and highly sensitive horses onto the Scillonian ferry.
Put them down. Hopefully they won't bite each other on the way over.
The fear is that if they get distressed on the voyage across to Scilly, they could harm themselves or each other. Back on Scilly, the unpredictable weather has been causing great difficulties for other islanders. Just over a year ago, up on St Martin's, Toby took over the only pub on the island, the Seven Stones, with his ex-wife Liz. Toby installed his friend Paulie in the kitchen as chef. But when the weather's bad, the boats don't sail and no one comes to the pub. Planning the menus has been a nightmare. There have been rumours of growing tension between the staff. It's a small world here with little chance of escape, and Paul is thought to have grown unhappy with his hours and conditions. And his girlfriend Thea, who helped behind the bar, has moved out of the pub after a series of arguments. In a field up the road from the Seven Stones, Toby's busy with his scheme to breed turkeys for the Christmas dinner table. But fears that he might not be able to keep his pub going much longer have been dominating everything.
It's been a bit of a stop-start season, up and down, very, very rapidly, which has added to some of the problems, really, because one day you're definitely quiet, the next day you're doing 255 meals in a day, and so it's really hard to staff it, to supply it, to equip it, and to maintain and run a business like that when it's been this sort of summer, really. But we've had some staff issues which have generated out of nowhere, really. So it's been quite a difficult season, really.
What sort of issues?
Conflict between the staff, basically.
Because for many people, having your own pub in a dream location like this is kind of a fantasy, isn't it? Has it actually been harder than you thought when you took it over last year?
Dealing with staff has been tougher, yeah. Dealing with the general public and pulling pints and getting deliveries, no. But the issues that are thrown up because of complexities within the whole makeup of the staff relationship has been far more difficult than I expected.
So the question the islanders are asking now is, if trade doesn't pick up and arguments between the staff continue, what's the long-term future of their only pub? During the summer, the Scillonian ferry makes a 2.5-hour daily run on the voyage from Penzance to Scilly, carrying everything the islands need to survive. Because of its tight schedule, even in rough weather, the ship must travel at speed. And its reputation for seasickness is a legend in the British merchant fleet. Today, probably the ship's 2 most valuable passengers aboard are having a rough passage.
Yeah, I'm just going to tie Pilot up a little bit shorter because he's been biting Jason.
Biting?
You see here, he's been biting him. It's just swollen there. It was a lot rougher than I thought it was going to be, actually.
How are you, though?
Not too good. Yeah, I didn't feel very good halfway across, but it's better now. And just coming into the islands, it's much smoother. So, yeah, I'll be glad to get off as well.
When the horses finally make it off the boat, the island's vet is there to greet them.
Pilot's he's been biting him.
Oh.
Yeah.
So. Oh, poor thing. The brown one apparently has bitten the grey one. So it's bloody here. But hopefully it's not going to be too bad, you know. Just wash it and put some disinfectant on.
The dressage horses will need constant specialist care, which will give the hard-pressed island vet some much-needed extra work. In fact, as time goes by, things really seem to be looking up professionally for Heike. She's been busy with everything from inseminating heifers to treating a dog with appallingly bad breath.
The owner says he can't drive in a car with her anymore. She's in a confined space. The smell gets unbearable.
But despite the gradual improvement to her bank balance, there's something that still seems to be missing from Heike's life. She's very lonely.
I'm not only looking at the business side, also on the social side, and I want to be, you know, a little bit with other people. That was a bit missing at first because I was only there if they had a sick animal. But I would like to talk about something else sometimes apart from sick animals. So I'd like to develop the social side of visits and people and knowing people more. I'm open, I'm friendly, you know. It's easy to talk with me.
And so if you got the social side of things going, it would make life pretty perfect here, wouldn't
Yeah,
it?
absolutely, yeah.
The problem for Heike is that there aren't many available men in such a tiny community. But soon Heike's search for love is to be helped by a little bit of luck. Meanwhile, as far away from the islands as is physically possible on the globe, 12,000 miles southwest lies Rarotonga, the biggest of the Cook Islands in the middle of the South Pacific. And recently, two faces from the Isles of Scilly have been very much in evidence here. Heike's erstwhile veterinary nurse Sarah and her new boyfriend Greg are having the time of their lives. Sarah's fulfilling a lifelong ambition by travelling to this exotic place and working as a volunteer in the island's only vet surgery. And Greg's followed her out. Today they're trying to build up the strength of an injured petrel, a seabird, that would have died if it hadn't been brought into the surgery.
Please don't bite me. He seems quite feisty to me. I think we might call it a day with that one syringe.
Greg and Sarah have set up home together in a traditional A-framed island house, and it really seems to have changed Greg's life.
She's helping me to see things in a more balanced way, I guess, helping me to broaden my perspectives.
So you found a connection there?
Yeah.
And you're working with Sarah, which must be nice.
Mm-hmm.
First time you've spent real time together?
Yes, and it should be, I think this is a testing ground, kind of. We'll be spending a lot of time together.
How's it going to go, do you think?
We'll see.
Greg and Sarah are spending all day, every day together. This morning they're hoping the injured petrel's now strong enough to fly. What do you think, Sarah, after all that?
Fantastic. It was obviously just waiting for the right wind current or the right vantage point or something, so fantastic. I feel all good now. All warm and fuzzy inside.
All warm and fuzzy. There've been the trips down to the beach where Greg and Sarah have been giving injured dogs hydrotherapy treatment in the warm waters of the lagoon. The more time Greg spends with Sarah, the more he comes to admire her. But he's in something of a dilemma. Often, before sunrise, the most devoted of the islanders on Rarotonga are already up and about. Amongst them this morning is Greg. This is a God-fearing place, with more churches per head of population than almost anywhere else in the world. When Greg arrived on Scilly 3 months ago to be reunited with his father after an 8-year break, he announced that he wanted to train to be a Buddhist monk. Then he met Sarah. Now he must plan for the long term and decide which ultimately comes first, his religious convictions or his growing love for Sarah. In many ways, being minister to the Isles of Scilly is a very high-profile job.
In a moment, we're going to have our offering and our prayers for other people.
David's regular services in the island's chapels have become increasingly popular with locals and visitors alike.
Lovely service, thank you. Enjoy your holiday. Nice to see you.
Michael said to me that's the coolest assembly I've ever been to in my life.
Oh, well, that's good.
But there's another side to David's work which many of his congregation are unaware of. David lives alone and is able to spend many hours quietly caring for those who need help, who are lonely, bereaved, or facing some kind of personal crisis. Today he's visiting a man who's been having major medical treatment on the mainland.
Hello, Peter. Oh, right. Nice to see you. You've been in several times now.
About 20 times in.
Yeah. So was it West Cornwall that you're in?
Yes, you're Penzance.
Yes. I mean, that's part of my calling, I suppose, part of what I do. You know, when you're a Methodist minister, to be with people when they're in need is part of what it's about. Sometimes you haven't got a lot you can say, but just to be there with them and to support them when they need support.
Later, he calls around to a lady who's been widowed.
You're always bouncing around doing something.
Oh, I know, but I don't feel like it very often. I just feel like sitting down and doing nothing.
Well, why not? You're retired, you could do. Put your feet up.
Well, I think everybody's very fond of David, his kindness to everybody, not only in the church, I mean, to everybody who needs a visit if they're not feeling very well. And David goes around, and a lot of people don't know about that. He hides his light under a bushel.
David's re-election vote is now imminent. He's been frequently on the phone to someone on the mainland who'll be playing a key role in the proceedings.
You keeping okay? Settling into your new job, finding your way around? Well, you know your way around already, I guess, but...
In the few moments they've been able to snatch together between long working shifts, Paulie and Thea have been agonising over the future. It's the height of the season, so this is probably the worst moment for Paulie to leave the Seven Stones pub. Over the last year or two, Paulie and his boss Toby have become great mates. They've even written a book together about their lives on St Martin's, which was recently published. But now, after weeks of uncertainty, Paulie and Thea have reached a decision. They're quitting.
It's just all kind of come to a head, really. It started positively last season. You know, it was going really well, really nice food, and I just feel that it's dropped off a little bit this year, partly because of the staff issue and whatnot, and it's just not going the direction where I want it to go.
Do you feel you've outgrown the Seven Stones in a way, the pub?
I feel I've done everything I can, and I need a new challenge. There's not much more drive there now. And I'm still young. We've got itchy feet.
Yeah.
We just want to do something now. And unfortunately, it means moving away.
It does.
But we can come back on holiday.
I think you don't know until you try. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But it will work out. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So today's Scilly, tomorrow the world.
Completely.
Yeah, yeah. God, you'll be wanting kids next.
And you raised that, she didn't.
She always raises it.
So broody.
Paulie and Thea waste no time getting on their way. Once on the mainland, they plan to look for a small pub of their own to take over. Toby is very disappointed at how things have turned out.
It is very, very sad because, you know, ideally I'd like to have seen Paulie there for 2 or 3 years, really, but it all went quite badly wrong, really.
Because you and Paulie are mates, aren't you? I mean, I always think of you as great mates.
Yeah, but business is business, really, and, you know, I think it's time that he moved on, really.
In many ways, the Isles of Scilly are an idyllic place to live. But if things go wrong, there's often nowhere to hide, and there can be casualties. Up at the airport, Nigel's hard at work at the Airfare Cafe. In the years he's been here, Nigel and his partner Carol have always worked long hours, 6 days a week. But today is a rather special one for Nigel. He's expecting the first call he's had from his son Greg, 12,000 miles away in the Cook Islands.
Hey Dad, it's Greg.
Hello, Greg.
I wanted to say happy birthday.
Oh, Greg, thank you. You remembered.
I can't believe you're the other side of the world and I'm talking to you.
Later, down in their little flat behind the harbour, Nigel celebrates his birthday with Carol.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Carol has a gift for Nigel from his son.
I hope you enjoy the few things I'm sending to you. I'm sure you'll find an appropriate place for the statue.
This is the traditional symbol of good luck, abundance and fertility, to be found in virtually every household on Rarotonga.
Yeah, thanks, Greg. Brilliant.
Greg sent it to Nigel because he knew Carol had bought his father a couple of shiny new lobster pots for his birthday. Despite 3 years of trying, Nigel's never actually managed to catch a lobster, and Greg hopes the little totem will bring him luck.
Rarotonga Cook Islands.
It's referred to as the god of plenty.
Yes, I can see that.